Hello and welcome to Crimewatch. 40 detectives are here to help us crack tonight's cases, and we start with Nisha Patel-Nasri. As well as running her own hairdressing business, Nisha made time to work as a special constable.
Maybe Nisha's murder made the headlines it did because she had a history of standing up to criminals. But that, as it turned out, was the last thing she did.
She was very loving, very caring, always helping people, had a good heart, cheeky smile. She had a very cheeky smile.
And you're sure? And you just, and you're sure? You just walk around like this munchkin person.
Always happy and bubbly, and whether it's early morning, late at night, she'll always be happy and bubbly.
Two breaths. Let's move.
This was the brutal murder of a woman in a quiet residential street here in Wembley. She was a woman who gave an awful lot to her community. She gave it freely, for no payment at all.
We got on very, very well. We had a very good life together.
Oh, come on. How could you do that? You got it all.
Making a mess up.
Yeah.
Is that my anniversary present?
You know it is.
Happy anniversary. I am going to go and have a shower and then I'll clean this up. Listen, why don't you go and play some snooker?
Really?
You've got a lot of work on for the next few days, so go and have fun with the lads. I'll see you later, okay?
I won't be long.
Witnesses saw a hooded man walk down Charterhouse Avenue, and when he got to Sudbury Avenue, he turned right towards Sylvester Road.
There's quite a few places I like to go, actually.
Yeah, there's that guy again.
A few minutes later, we know that that hooded man, or a man matching his description, came from Charterhouse Avenue again and walked towards Nisha's house.
Listen, what are you doing? Look, what are you doing? What are you doing here?
I'm just looking.
You're looking at what?
Nothing.
Who's that? Open the door.
It's probably just a fox.
Two men were seen fleeing from the scene. One walked north up Sudbury Avenue, and the second ran up this way towards Sylvester Road. Once the hooded man got to the bottom of Sudbury Avenue, he turned left here into Sylvester Road towards Harrodine Road.
Help me! Help me! I need help!
The second hooded man walked in the opposite direction from Nisha's house, and he got to here at this junction and turned left into Rugby Avenue.
Help me!
Nisha was left on the pavement. She was screaming out, and yet this man didn't even look back as he walked away from what was a murder scene.
Help me!
Oh, God. Lie down.
20 Sudbury Avenue.
Tell him to hurry up. She's losing blood. It's really serious.
Losing a lot of blood. It's everywhere. There's blood
Come on, love.
everywhere.
Wake up.
Hurry up.
What's going on? She's been stabbed.
I don't know.
She's losing a lot of blood. Get something to stop the bleeding. Anything. Tea towel, anything. Keep breathing. Stay with us. Stay with us.
Just before we're entering the snooker club, we get a phone call from the neighbour saying to come back quick. When I entered the road, you could see blue lights everywhere. The ambulance was there.
People start over the fences for me. People start over the fences. You need to stop the What's happened up, Nisha? How long has she been down, Alex? Who are you? I'm her husband, please. What happened? She's been down. I'm not sure that she's not breathing for herself at the moment. We're breathing for her. We're doing all we can at the moment. Nisha, please talk to us. Just shift the breaths. Bit more space.
We're trying to bring her back to life. No hope.
Nisha died from a single stab wound to her groin. Now there's a knife missing from the house. It's the same as this knife here. It's a John Lewis Evolution Cook's knife. It has the name John Lewis embossed on the blade. Now that knife is missing from the murder scene. Around this time an R-Reg Rover was seen on Charterhouse Avenue. It's very distinctive, with purple stickers peeling off the back driver's side window. The car was parked behind me here for about 5 minutes before then making a very awkward 5-point turn and then moving off in the opposite direction back down Charterhouse Avenue. Shortly afterwards, the car was seen again parked up round the corner on Rugby Avenue. The engine was still running and a man was seen walking towards it. We don't know whether he got into this car or a red BMW that was parked in front of the Rover.
It's completely changed my life. You know, there's no words that can explain what it has done. She didn't deserve to die like that at all. And whoever's responsible, come down and put yourself forward.
I'm appealing for anybody that may know the person who's committed this murder. No amount of loyalty to a family friend or a colleague is not worth coming forward for and helping me identify who murdered Nisha here.
Julian, the earlier report suggested that Nisha had come out of the house, perhaps with this knife, but actually you don't know that. It's possible that the burglar, whatever it was, went into the house because keys like these are missing.
That's correct. What we do know is that Nisha would have had a set of keys identical to these that have been missing probably for some 3 weeks prior to the murder happening.
These are very distinctive. I mean, I have not seen a key like that before, and it's this combination with that sort of key and with one of these Chubb window patio door sort of locks. And she would have been concerned because there'd been an attempted burglary, it seemed, on the Saturday night, about 5 days earlier.
That's correct. It was on the Saturday, the 6th of May, at around 10 o'clock in the evening. Nisha disturbed a couple of black men at her front door. Having challenged them, they then moved off. But then a third male came back to the house and again tried the front door before he indeed made off himself.
Now, the two who were seen on the night of the murder, we must assume the guy who walked off, ignoring her screams, was connected with this. One reasonably tallish and one really rather short.
That's right. The one that ran off was probably in the region of about 5'10". We believe he was black. The other man who walked off in the opposite direction, you're quite right. Nisha's left screaming on the floor here, and he's just walked off and ignored everything that's gone behind him.
Now, I bet you there are people who know who is involved in this. I mean, do you want to make a direct appeal for these guys to ring in and shop their friends?
Absolutely. As I said in the reconstruction there, I know that there are people out there who know who've done this. They know who's responsible, and they're thinking about whether they should phone tonight and let us know who's done it. All I would say is this: come forward now. There is a reward if that makes a difference, but I don't think it should make a difference. I think you should step forward now and name this person.
All right. Also, if you can help eliminate any of these cars that are registered Rover, which is the 5-point turn that had that sort of blackout stuff peeling from the window, or any of the other vehicles. And as you've heard, the Sun has offered a £10,000 reward if that helps. Call us here in the studio, or call the instant room on 020 8247 7821. You can also log on to our website, bbc.co.uk/crime.
Now we're getting a good response tonight on a few of our cases already. Now we've had a very good number of calls coming in on Nisha Patel murder, but there's one caller in particular we really desperately need to phone back. This person sounded distressed, said they know her killers, and hung up. We need this person to phone us back. The lines are definitely open. If that's you and you know who you are, please give us a call.
And on the first case that we reconstructed tonight, the murder in North London of Nisha, do you remember there was a guy who was about 6 foot, we think, and another guy who was much shorter. We've got some people giving us names of these. If you have any idea who they are, please do give us a call. Our phone lines are open until midnight tonight and from 7:30 until midnight tomorrow.
This is Special Constable Nisha Patel-Nasri. Just days after her brutal murder, her husband Fadi made an emotional appeal on Crimewatch.
She didn't deserve to die like that, at all. And whoever's responsible, come down and put yourself forward.
But he had been responsible. Everything he told us had been a lie.
He was acting like a grieving husband, but all along he knew what he did. He was able to fool everyone.
This is the story of how police saw through his lies.
You all right, love? Listen, it's going to be okay. Listen, I'm going to call the ambulance, all right? Hello, hi. We need an ambulance, please, urgently.
Oh my God!
Thanks. Please, come quick.
Nisha,
Okay.
where's Fadi?
It's Fadi.
It's her husband. I better call him.
Yeah, it's 20 Sudbury Avenue.
How can you say that? Your car over this? That's crazy. That is crazy. Hang on. What? Hello?
Fadi?
What?
They said that your wife's been stabbed. So we just jumped in a car and flew back to the house. When I entered the road, the ambulance was there. We were trying to bring her back to life. No hope.
Nisha had been stabbed once in the groin and bled to death. She was just 29 years old.
She was fun, she was bubbly, she was always helpful towards people. She always liked to try to, be there for everyone.
Nisha was a hairstylist by profession, but she also volunteered as a special police constable.
What better way to help somebody than, work as a special constable, to help the community? All she wanted to do is just help.
So why would someone want her dead?
The first thing you see when you get there is the blood outside the premises, the blood on the footpath and the blood near the front door. There had been no forced entry, and neither are signs of any attempted forced entry either.
Daddy?
So the initial thought was that Nisha had come out of the house and confronted someone and been stabbed.
Nisha's husband Fadi had been on his way to play snooker with a friend when the attack happened, so wasn't considered a suspect. When he appeared on Crimewatch to appeal for information, the public saw a grieving husband. But it was a remarkable piece of play acting.
We're in shock at the moment. Hasn't even sunk in. We're still waiting. In a minute she'll walk through the door. In a minute she's going to call me.
Crimewatch director Emma Clark conducted that interview.
I was affected by it. I was very emotional just watching him doing the appeal. I mean, I was totally and utterly convinced by him.
So you're going to cook for me tonight, then, eh?
Nisha met Beirut-born Patel-Nasri through a mutual friend, and after an 8-month romance, the couple were engaged. When they married, Nasri was running an escort agency, but Nisha disapproved. She persuaded him to give it up, giving him £15,000 to start a limousine hire company. to the outside world, they appeared a happy couple. The night before she was killed had been their 3rd anniversary. With no eyewitnesses and no forensic clues, priority number 1 was locating the murder weapon. A knife with dimensions matching the fatal stab wound was missing from the kitchen. Had Nisha armed herself before going outside to investigate the disturbance?
That knife became absolutely pivotal. At that stage, I believe that the offender may well have snatched it from Nisha. So he hadn't arrived with the knife, so therefore he hadn't really got a plan to dispose of it. So I felt he would discard it sooner or later. He wouldn't have kept it with him because he wouldn't know what to do with it.
Acting on that hunch, DCI Scola ordered a meticulous search of every inch of the streets surrounding Nisha's home, and it paid off. After 2 weeks, officers found the knife in a blocked drain 2 roads away from the murder scene. Had whoever dumped it been caught on CCTV?
There was a CCTV camera, but it was facing away from the drain. But what that camera did show was a parked car about 10 feet in front of the drain. And you could clearly see 2 or 3 minutes after Nisha's murdered, a car pulls up at that drain. You see the headlights reflecting on the parked car. It stops there for approximately 7 seconds before moving off. I was very confident that that was the car that actually stopped to deposit the knife down the drain.
A vehicle expert was called in and worked out that the car was a silver Audi A4. Its left-hand rear number plate light was out, and it had a distinctive roof-mounted aerial that didn't come as standard. Police immediately began the task of locating that car. But they were still struggling to find a motive. Did someone hold a grudge against Nisha, or even against Fadi? To help eliminate the people they both knew, officers asked Fadi if they could take a look at his mobile.
Mobile phone, if that's possible, just to check out, you know, all of
my
those
mobile
contacts.
phone.
Yeah, your mobile phone, if you don't mind.
Really? Right. But you never asked this before?
It's just a matter of routine, Fadi.
No, of course I'm happy to help, but I have it here, yeah. There you go.
I just began to research Fadi's contacts and people he knew, and in doing so, came across Roger Leslie.
Roger Leslie was a known criminal with an extraordinary appearance, volcanic temper, and a string of convictions for violent offences.
Roger, it's Fadi.
So why was Patel-Nasri associating with a man like him?
Roger Leslie had been in telephone contact with Nasri an awful lot in the days and weeks running up to this incident, and in particular on the day of the incident itself. And there were some very notable calls shortly before he goes to play snooker, and there's another call immediately after his wife is stabbed. Clearly there was a reason for those phone calls between Patel-Nasri and Roger Leslie, and I wanted to know what that reason was.
Had Leslie and Nasri had some sort of dispute, and was the attack on Nisha something to do with it?
Do you understand?
But investigations soon revealed that Leslie couldn't have carried out the killing. He had been nowhere near the scene of the crime. But police did notice something else suspicious about Roger Leslie.
We identified a mirroring of phone calls. Every time Leslie was in contact with Nasri, shortly before or shortly afterwards, he was in contact with another phone that was owned by Tony Emanuel.
Tony Emanuel was a nightclub promoter from East Ham. Intriguingly, records for the night placed him near the murder scene.
Leslie received a telephone call from Tony Emanuel's phone immediately after Nisha was stabbed. You can see that virtually the instant he disconnected that telephone call, he phoned Patel-Nasri straight away. So clearly there had to be a link between those phone calls.
Fadi.
And as police investigated Tony Emanuel, they discovered that he drove a silver Audi A4. Complete with defective rear number plate light. And a distinctive roof-mounted aerial. It was a major breakthrough.
At that stage, when we could link the car to the drain and the phone calls to the people, You could see that it was unravelling in front of you. It'd been nearly 6 months. We hadn't really made any good progress, but suddenly the pieces were beginning to come together.
Emmanuel would later admit that he'd been hired by a man called Jason Jones to drive to Nisha's house, and that Jones had carried out the murder. Jones was a nightclub bouncer with 76 prior convictions. Emmanuel maintained throughout he had no idea that Jones was going to attack Nisha, thinking instead he was driving to a drug deal.
Just you wait here, yeah?
Yet one detail he provided police with turned the investigation on its head. He told police that Jones had been inside Nisha's house and that he'd seen piles of money lying around.
We knew that was true. We knew Nisha had counted out her day's takings and they were on the settee next to her. Yet the only people who knew that money was lying there were Nisha herself and those that saw it after her death. So suddenly I realised that the hypotheses about Nisha confronting someone outside were wrong.
Police felt it highly unlikely that Nisha would have let him in, and there was no forced entry. So, had someone helped him to gain access to the house?
Daddy?
But that still didn't explain the motive. Why Nisha? What was the connection between these men and Patel-Nasri?
I thought at that stage he would tell us that Leslie had been intimidating him in some way. I felt that's the way the investigation was going to go that morning. I was quite bullish about it.
We have arrested 3 men for the murder of Nisha. A man called Jason Jones, a man called Tony Emmanuel, and a guy called Roger Leslie. Now, we know that there is some connection between these men and you.
And then, I've never seen anything like it before, he burst into tears and broke down.
I'm sorry. I will talk to you. I just need some time to clear my head and get my head straight. But I will talk to you.
Nasri was clearly stalling for time. But why? Police decided to take a closer look at him. He had a passion for the high life. He drove a luxury car, wore expensive clothes, and claimed to be earning £150,000 a year from his limousine business. But in reality, he was facing financial ruin. His business was doing terribly, and he'd run up 6-figure debts.
Listen. I'm gonna get the money to you. It's gonna be maximum 2 weeks we're talking here. Well, what else do you want me to do about it? I'm guaranteeing you're gonna have it in 2 weeks. I'm in a situation.
It's nice to see you again.
Nisha had been the family breadwinner. As well as her volunteer work with the police, she was working 7 days a week in her hair salon to keep the couple financially afloat. Although they appeared happy, in reality their marriage was on the rocks.
Sorry, baby. Just way too tired.
Privately, Nisha had confided to friends that she was desperate for a baby, but that Fadi barely touched her anymore.
Just comes home, he sleeps. I don't know how we got here. I have no idea how we got here.
But it wasn't just work that was keeping Fadi occupied.
Fadi, where are you?
I'm just on my way to meet a client, Nish.
Wait, it's after 6 o'clock, baby. You said you were going to come back.
I know, but I had a meeting cancelled earlier on and they can only reschedule us now.
So when do you think you're going to get back? Are you going to get back for dinner?
I'm not going to be more than a couple of hours, okay, baby? Look, I'm here now, okay? I'm gonna make it up to you, I promise. I have to go, all right? I'll call you later.
Fadi often bought sex from prostitutes, and he'd met his Lithuanian mistress in a brothel.
Yes. Yeah.
Nisha knew nothing about the affair, but as Fadi's behaviour and spending became more and more unpredictable, she began to tire of him.
I can't cope with this. I can't do this anymore. I've been waiting for 7 hours for you.
But Fadi knew divorce would have meant financial ruin. Without Nisha's money, he would never have been able to maintain the lavish lifestyle he'd grown accustomed to. And yet, after Nisha's murder, Fadi's financial problems disappeared.
Approximately 3 months before Nisha's murder, Nisha and Patel-Nasri had taken out life policies on each other. With Nisha's death, clearly he stood to benefit from that insurance policy, which would have cleared the mortgage on a house that was, by that time, worth over £400,000.
Using that money, Fadi had cleared £100,000 worth of debts and set up home with his mistress. But he wasn't finished there. Nisha was entitled to half the value of her late parents' home. Just 5 months after her death, Fadi instructed lawyers to try to extract this money from Nisha's brother, Keaton.
I wouldn't have been on the streets, but it's as good as. So for somebody to come and demand money shows that his whole motive was to do with finances.
It was clear that he would benefit in the region of at least £500,000 through Nisha's death.
At last, police had what looked like a motive. This is what they now believe happened. Knowing his reputation, Fadi asked Roger Leslie to orchestrate his wife's murder and provided him with keys to the house so that the killer could let himself in. Leslie hired Jason Jones to carry out the murder. And Jones hired Tony Emmanuel to drive him to the scene, making up a cover story that it was to be a drugs deal. Fadi's role was relatively simple. All he had to do was create an alibi for himself.
I was wondering, what do you like for a snooker game later this week?
And make sure that Nisha was going to be home that evening.
You know what I'm going to do for my beautiful wife tonight?
What's that?
I'm going to cook you an exotically fantastic meal.
You're gonna cook?
You deserve it. I'm going to straighten everything out.
Phone calls fly back and forth between Fadi and Leslie and Emmanuel's phone throughout the day, presumably checking all last-minute details. At around 10:30, Emmanuel's silver Audi travels down the North Circular and stops around 3 miles from Nisha's home, presumably waiting for instructions to move in.
You all right?
Yeah. Sorry, I must have just lost my appetite.
Hey, it's gorgeous.
When you leaving?
I'll be out in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's about to leave. Move in 5. Understood.
Sorry, darling, something has once come up.
Where are you going?
I'll be back in just 20 minutes, okay?
Fanny?
I'll be back shortly.
Just you wait here, yeah?
Paddy?
What, man? Good to see you. Sorry if I'm running a bit late.
Please, somebody help me!
You all right, love?
Yeah, it's done.
Hello?
It's done.
Sorry, mate, I haven't got my booking log with me. Can I call you back tomorrow? Thanks. Bloody work. It never stops.
And what's the one thing that you will miss most about your wife?
Absolutely everything. You know. Absolutely everything.
I feel so disappointed in myself that I didn't see through him and I let him stay in my house, helping him financially, you know, when all along he's actually killed my sister. He's just a malicious man who was able to fool everyone.
Driver Tony Emmanuel was charged with murder, but the jury accepted he didn't know about the plot and he was found not guilty. But Roger Leslie, Jason Jones and Patel-Nasri were all convicted of Nisha's murder.
All three men were sentenced to life imprisonment. Patel-Nasri will have to serve at least 20 years before he's eligible for parole.